So hello and thank you again, everyone who is joining live. I am Camilla Hazler, the Director of Sales for the UK and EU at Borderless Access. And I'm really thrilled and excited to be hosting our first ever co-branded healthcare webinar. So again, this is a complete first and we are super excited to get going with this. And this is going to be a conversation which is going to bring together the two different perspectives, right? About something that we both care deeply about. In terms of smarter insights, but also in terms of meaningful engagement in healthcare audiences. And I am joined today by the wonderful Olympia Mancios from Dentsu Health, who brings deep expertise in omnichannel healthcare communication and patient-physician journeys. Olympia, it is such a pleasure to have you here with us today. Thank you so much again for joining. Would you like to give a brief introduction?
Of course. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Camilla. My name is Olympia Mancios. I am the Global VP of Data and Analytics for Dentsu Health. At Dentsu Health, we specialize in health, wellness, and pharmaceutical marketing across our global agencies, brands, and external partners. And I personally spent several years in the industry where I focused combining advanced data science with insights and strategic insights to help transform healthcare in various areas, such as optimizing audiences, targeting, engagement, and communications. So I'm very excited to be co-presenting here with Camilla and showcase how we can utilize our strengths to drive business transformation. We've done this before at PMRC in Munich a couple of months ago, and it was very, very fun.
Yes, so good. And just to say as well that Olympia is being modest there in her introduction. She has over a decade of healthcare experience and in the industry. And, you know, I personally have spent over a decade in global market research sales as well. And it's just such a great kind of opportunity for us to share with you some of those different insights and actionable takeaways from today's session. So, of course, at Borderless Access, we are very committed to delivering actionable research that really empowers better decision-making in the healthcare. So with that, we're going to get started. Just before we do that, I do have a couple of quick announcements to make as well. The first is, please do feel free to make use of the chat box. This is an interactive session, and we want this to be a great experience for you who have joined us today live. So please share your questions, share your comments throughout the session. And in addition to that, if you do experience technical issues, if there is anything that you're struggling with as you join the webinar today and now, please do comment in the chat box and someone will get in touch to help you. And lastly, a tiny surprise as well, just to thank you for joining live today in terms of being part of this webinar. So for those who are with us today, there is the opportunity for some of the most engaged participants in today's session to get an exclusive invite for our upcoming podcast, which is called No Less Access Beyond Borders. And this will be an article and a video series by Borderless Access. So we're super excited to announce that. Next, as well, a selection of you will receive a free sample survey with 20 healthcare professional panelists to experience what it's like to, see our healthcare panel quality firsthand. And lastly, for the most engaged panelists in the chat, as we go through our session today, you will be in line to receive a small but meaningful gift, a surprise gift as a thank you. So we hope that that was enough inspiration for you all joining us live today. And with that, let's get started. And I'm going to hand to Olympia as we share and start to present to you today. So we will, 1 second.
Great.
All right.
I think it's loading.
Okay, fantastic. There we go.
Great. Perfect. So before we start our presentation, I think it's important to note that we all recognize that healthcare is inherently global, but it's practiced locally. So this reality comes even more critical in ex-US markets, where some ethical considerations, geographical nuances, and country-specific laws and regulations add layers of complexity. So we need to take this into consideration throughout our presentation, especially during some of the case studies that we're going to share that are US-based. Camila?
So why are we speaking about this today? Well, what's important is that this 2024 survey statistic reveals that 36% of healthcare practices today are dissatisfied with their current communication technology, which suggests that there is a gap in understanding what healthcare professionals really want. So, where we see that as many as 95% of providers are acknowledging that there is a strong correlation between effective communication and patient satisfaction, what is happening with healthcare professionals? So this is really where good research comes in. And this is a research topic that's deep and wide and from quality primary sources. And of course, at Borderless Access, we help to bridge this gap by helping to gather a primary digital audience, which is authentic, and then Dentsu Healthcare finds the key insights within them. And so, how is it exactly that AI is revolutionizing today the way that we look at physicians and patients alike? Well, AI is changing how we process and collect, being able to collect volumes of data at massive scale. Just imagine an AI system that collects data across millions of patient records in real time and how exciting that is. And then it's also helping us to gather data more efficiently and flag anything suspicious in real time. Plus, in terms of the trends, it's helping us to spot more trends and uncover hidden patterns in the data that were previously unnoticeable. Plus, it's helping massively around the acceleration and the speed of times to insight. And we know that this is something that matters hugely to research teams. And in addition to all of this, it's helping us to collect really precise and actionable segments, which again help us to create more targeted research strategies around those. And then in addition to all of this, it's helping us to really optimize. It's helping us to optimize the communications that we send to healthcare professionals. And how this is done is with machine learning and AI. And later in this talk, Olympia will share some fascinating real-world case studies of how this works. So how else is it that AI is supercharging our insights? Well, it's also helping us to pull data from more sources and more diverse sources so that we can monitor respondent preferences, we can keep up with competitor activity in the market, and also those regulatory updates that Olympia mentioned at the start of our talk. Plus, in addition to those things, it's helping us around the natural language processes and really enhancing our understanding of language. And this can help particularly in qualitative research and data in areas like social media and sentiment analysis. Plus, in addition to that, there is the automation potential and seeing this in action within Borderless Access for the automating of survey setup and ultimately analysis as well, where AI is helping us to filter irrelevant survey responses. And this can help in areas like identifying EHR patterns and analyzing medical images in some industry-specific examples. So overall, AI and AI-powered recruitment and targeting is helping to produce better quality data where there is a multi-layered approach. And what that looks like is it's an approach across more fraud detection, across sophisticated algorithms working through ultimately through time and with AI verification. Then it's across credential checks and the ability of AI to cross-check information in real time. Finally, in terms of behavioral matching, our system is applying more behavioral analytics via AI and then looking at those patterns. And that takes effect in areas like our audience trust score, where we apply a trust score based on the pattern recognition for our respondents.
So when it comes to choosing a treatment or a brand, a patient typically follows a decision-making process. So it begins with recognizing the health issue, followed by gathering information, evaluating the available options, making a decision, and finally either staying or switching to something better. However, today, in this complex healthcare environment, this process is rarely linear and isolated. There are multiple factors that influence a patient's decision at every stage, including market exposure, individual characteristics such as income, education, insurance coverage, as well as other broader and environmental factors such as economy or even climate conditions. In the next slide, we will see the HCP decision-making process. The decision-making journey for the healthcare professionals begins when they recognize that a patient has a healthcare issue. Next, the HCP moves to diagnose the patient's specific condition, then develop a therapeutic plan and implementing the therapeutic plan. Throughout this stage, the HCP decision-making is influenced by multiple factors. Some of the primary prescribing influences include patient demographics such as age, gender, education level, and some secondary prescribing influences encompass practice characteristics such as clinical settings and specialty, and peer influences, opinions and recommendations from other fellow professionals. Historically, on the next slide, we will see that the prescribing decision-making journey was linear. From initiation to script, physicians were primarily driving this process, guided predominantly by their own perceptions and values. Today, however, the prescribing journey has evolved into a more complex interplay of touch points, and the brand's value to the HCP and patient needs play pivotal roles. So Camila and I will share some of the most common challenges that we face in reaching the HCPs in today's environment.
So today's HCPs, healthcare professionals, are harder to reach than ever. And why is this? Well, it's because these healthcare professionals are facing significant time constraints. They're faced with a feeling of marketing skepticism around the communications that they receive. There is also a sense of a lack of direct access where these healthcare professionals are often not spending large amounts of time in front of their computers or phones. And then, in terms of information overload, some of these healthcare professionals today are completely inundated with information throughout their day, and that can have a detrimental effect as well. In addition to privacy and their personal preferences related to communication, and of course, in the post-GDPR era, where restrictions are getting stricter. So how is it that we can really overcome some of these challenges? And this is, again, why we're here today to talk about how we overcome these. And the first answer really lies in terms of technology, and especially AI. And that would be in terms of tech adoption. And we see this in terms of telemedicine and EHRs and how we can look to alleviate some of those communication challenges that happen across workflows. And then in terms of data and better data for more intelligent communications with these healthcare professionals. Again, we're looking to take a more holistic and strategic approach, which is based on how healthcare professionals really think and their wider organizational and personal needs, and taking both of these into account. And then in terms of AI and digital tools, it's also around creating more user-friendly and intuitive tools which are specific to healthcare professional workflows and their specific needs and use cases. So in terms of how we engage, again, with these communities and how we really look to build the digital community and participation. Online communities and healthcare communities are such a powerful way to overcome some of these challenges because of the constraints that exist, and where they are powered by AI and data analytics. Again, this can help us to connect even more deeply and even better with healthcare professionals And many of those are facing, again, similar challenges to those that we just touched on. So this is where we see within Borderless Access that digital healthcare communities really thrive. And Olympia.
So, as shared before, and to add to what Camilla just talked about, the prescribing landscape has fundamentally changed. Now, the value that the brand brings to the healthcare professionals, combined with a deeper understanding of the patient needs and expectations, really shapes prescribing decisions more significantly than ever before.
So now, everyone, for a little bit of engagement and participation, coming back to the start of our talk today, we would love to hear from you. And so before I present this slide, I would love to hear, based on our talk so far, we have a couple of quick questions around specifically healthcare professionals and engagement. So we're going to pop the poll on the screen in the next couple of moments. And if you see the pop-up come up, please do take part in the survey. We have a couple of questions for you to participate in. So just if you're not by your laptop, just quickly head back. We'll keep this up for another sort of 30 seconds or so, 30 to 45 seconds. So question one, how does your team use online healthcare professional panels for insights or testing communications? Question two, what is the biggest challenge that you face when using online healthcare professional panels? So we'd love to hear from you on this. Please do vote and take part. It's completely anonymous. Okay, so we're just going to allow about 10 more seconds for everyone to cast their vote. So make sure you cast your vote and take part in the poll. We'd love to hear from you on this. Okay, and then we will now just prepare to close the poll and share some of the responses. Here we go. Okay, fantastic. So what we see is that around, yes, this is phenomenal. So a number of our attendees today regularly engage, and a number also occasionally engage. We have 9% on rarely, relying more on internal data or reps. And then we have the final never having used online panels. Wow, phenomenal to see 18% of attendees today who have never used online panels for their research. That's impressive and a really interesting number to see. Okay, great. Let's look at the second question. So what is the biggest challenge that everyone faces when using online healthcare professional panels? So we see that for 40%, it is reaching the right specialty or subspecialty. Yes, that can be very challenging if the correct profiling is not in place. And then also in terms of quality responses, we see, yes, 40%. Wow, that's a high number, struggling with getting quality responses. And then incentivization at 10%. Interesting, very interesting. Wow. Well, thank you to everyone for taking part in those panel questions. We're going to have another panel question coming up for you in a moment or so. But before we do that, I'm going to share with you the case study on this screen, which is how we at Borderless Access apply AI algorithms to really optimize communication timing across campaigns with our panelists. So in this campaign, which we'll call Campaign X for the sake of this example, we looked to engage respondents across one specific channel. And this initial channel was email. And that gave a response rate of 16%. We then looked to, in terms of engaging that same panel, we looked at providing that across the mobile app, and we saw a response rate of 22%. When we then applied that same campaign in a cross-channel behavioral segmentation and sent it to the preferred campaign channel according to respondent preferences, we saw a significant increase of response rate. We saw a response rate of 31%, almost double the initial response rate. And then when we combine this with not only sending the right message to the right channel, we saw an overall campaign lift when we combined this with reaching respondents at the right time. So when we combine this again, same approach, right channel and right time, we saw an increase in response rates from 20% to 38%. So what this tells us is that by combining behavioral data for channel and time, that we within Borderless Access and our panel engagement have seen an increase of 140% increase at an overall campaign level, which I'm sure everyone will agree is not a small number. So again, this is the power. This is the power of applying AI and machine learning and behavioral data to this type of audience. So Olympia.
So everybody will wonder how we can do it together. Effective optimization is really driven by a continuous collaborative cycle. So in our collaboration, Borderless Access identifies the high-value HCP targets through audience building and profiled audience insights, while Dentsu Health analyzes and refines touchpoint for the maximum impact. While regulations and data availability may vary globally, the following two US case studies I will share illustrate that there is a tangible impact of AI and machine learning driven models on the healthcare marketing effectiveness, and they can give insights that can inspire application across market, including ex-US. So on this first case study, we have a US pharmaceutical brand that was experiencing diminishing returns due to overexposure. There was touchpoint fatigue among HCPs. We leveraged a multi-touch attribution model and uncovered two critical insights. The first was the optimal touchpoint and frequency mix. So basically, we were able to identify through the analysis that 6 to 7 touchpoints were the ideal balance. Fewer than 5 were insufficient to drive meaningful engagement, and more than 7 led to declining impact. The other thing that we learned was the correct message strategy by visitation length of the reps. So the model also revealed how message prioritization should shift based on the duration of the rep visits. So in this particular example, efficacy first messaging was the best performer, performing better during the shorter visits of the reps. So these findings were immediately actionable and provided driving some strategic adjustments across media and field force planning. They were very tangible results that really helped the brand understand a measurable increase of the ROI, improved rep effectiveness, and also more targeted and relevant HCP messaging. The second case study highlights the use of machine learning model, which is a geo-based attribution model that does not rely on identity resolution. Instead, what it does, it measures execution level ad performance. So it really evaluates dimensions such as platform, pattern, a partner, creative, audience, segment, placement, you name it, based on execution level. The model is really fun because the output is on Tableau and really enables almost real-time campaign optimization, where you can plug and play with different dimensions to assess the performance. So in this particular application, and if you look at the chart that is on the top right, the model was used to evaluate some EHR program performance. The top right quadrant out of the chart really represents the optimal performance, low cost, high effectiveness. Partner 2, as you can see, landed in this quadrant. So this was a clear candidate for increased investment. Now, if we look at partner 1, it showed even greater effectiveness or incremental revenue, but its disproportionately high cost really justified us to reallocate funds from partner 1 to partner 2. Now, we would be able also to refine specific assets within the partner executions. Let's say if these partners were running different creative, we would be able to do a creative level analysis and by clicking on these bubbles, diving deeper into a more granular level and understand which creative performed better and which creative we should continue having in the market. So the output of the key takeaway of this case study is that even without identity resolution, AI is a very powerful tool. Machine learning models are very powerful and can help us understand who is responding, what's working, and where you can invest next.
Well,
Camila.
thank you, Olympia. What powerful case studies. And so, what is it that we have learned overall as we have worked together? Well, the first thing that we have learned is that good strategy that can make all the difference in terms of the actual data outcomes and the quality of both the audience and the research. In terms of audience, we learned that optimization with AI and machine learning can make, again, significant difference when combined with profiling and better strategy. Then we also learned in terms of measurement that it's not just about combining the research methodology, it's about combining quality, precision, and timing and optimizing that to create the best possible research outcomes. And so, in terms of the key takeaways from this presentation and our session, and I'll hand to Olympia in a moment, I wanted to share that some of the key takeaways that we have for you from this are firstly, that ethical AI applied with consent strategically is a really powerful way to create better and deeper research. Then, in terms of non-linear communication, of course, Olympia shared several examples around how non-linear approaches to communication can be beneficial in the healthcare professional audience space. Then, of course, we learned around the importance of not just measurement, but continual measurement in a space where industries, markets, and environments are constantly changing. And no doubt, healthcare professional environments will continue to change and evolve. And then finally, we also learned that in terms of more targeted and digitized audiences, that there are ways to improve communication and to do even post-research communication, which can have an impact on future digital campaigns as well. So we really hope that this session was powerful and impactful. And before we go to some questions, which Olympia and I have for you, Olympia, did you have any key takeaways that you wanted to add on this slide?
I think the most important thing is that the importance of the nonlinear communication and measurement points that you brought up that is enabled by AI, and which is helping us really gather insights beyond the traditional measures. I think this is very important because a common misconception of AI is that it's going to replace human activity. But I think this is false, because AI is really a complementary to human activity. We cannot use AI without human interaction, because AI is really helping us uncover different patterns and different things that the human eye wouldn't be able to see with traditional analytics and traditional data mining. I think that's the most important thing and message that I would like to convey today.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Olympia. Yes, such great points there. And so to you watching this webinar session, again, we would love to hear from you. And I've seen some questions coming in as we've been going through this session. But if you have any key questions which came up for you, even as you watched the end of the presentation, please do keep those questions coming in, as we'd love to hear from you. And like I said, in a moment, Olympia and I will do some Q&A together before we go to those live questions. So there's still time to submit your questions, just to let you know. And I also wanted to encourage everyone as well. We do have one more poll for you for this session, at least one more poll, maybe another as well, surprise poll later. So before we go to Q&A, again, we really, your views count so much as part of making this a great webinar today. So again, please do, if you're by your laptop, feel free to vote anonymously in the poll. Shruti, would you please, so we'll just allow a couple of moments to for the poll to appear on our screen. And while we wait for that, we will start to move. Oh, here we go. Great. So in terms of the poll, the first question that we have is, how confident are you in your current HCP audience segmentation strategy? So again, whether that's today, we'd love to understand how confident. And the second one is, what data do you primarily rely on for your HCP targeting as well? So we're going to give you, and again, really like to hear from as many of you as possible. So we're going to give you just about another 20 seconds or so. So keep voting, keep voting. And thanks for voting for those that are. All right. So we're just about another 10 seconds, final 10 seconds. Keep casting your votes. And in a moment, we will then reveal for you the outcome of our poll, which again, can't wait to see. And we can have a brief discussion on those results as well. All right, so we will share the results as soon as we can, and we will wait for those to pop up. Wow. Okay, great. So we have 50% of respondents are neutral in terms of using basic demographics and specialty. Very interesting. That's by far the highest. And then we see 25% are very confident, are data-driven and dynamic. Fantastic. Interesting. So we have a mix in the audience. Yeah, Olympia, very interesting result there. And then in terms of our second question, so what data is our audience primarily relying on for HCP targeting? Wow, so we've got 25% prescription and claims data, and then we have 63% third-party panels or surveys. Fantastic. Okay, wow. So yeah, we've got some real, again, we've got a mix, and then we've got 13% on CRM and rep visits. Well, thank you again, everyone, for participating in that poll. With that, we'll move into the next session. So again, as I said, you can keep submitting your questions as we do our Q&A now. So Olympia, I have some questions for you. And the first question that I would love to ask is, what are the key ethical and technical considerations when training AI on sensitive healthcare professional data, especially given what you mentioned around privacy laws like GDPR and HIPAA?
Right, that's a great question, Camila. I think the short answer is ethics and compliance must come first when we talk about AI. Technically, the data should be anonymized, the data should be stored securely, it should be access control, but also we have an ethical responsibility as well, especially when we interact with HCP data, to ensure transparency and avoid bias, and also allow the HCPs to have autonomy and not direct their decisions. So compliance is not only a legal obligation for me, it's mandatory to create trust.
Yes. Wow. Really interesting. And so Olympia, to add to that last question, so what do you feel are the best practices for, co-creating insights or solutions with HCPs instead of just being about them?
That's a very good question, because we typically use HCPs as a data point and their behavior as data points. I feel like if we change the mindset of how we utilize the HCP information and we use them as collaborators and not only as data points, I think this would make a good strategy. Like a way to do it would be workshops or advisory boards, and involve them in the process. And that would also, increase the trust on how we use the data and make sure that the data is being used for solutions and for patient support. So I think that would be an important change in the mindset of how we use.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But do you get any, Camila, sorry, just because you
Yeah.
asked me this question, I want to understand. What feedback do you get from HCPs? Like, because you have more extensive experience in the field in that in that area. So do you get any feedback from HCPs about being part in these data-driven processes? Is there any pushback? Are they happily involved? What's your
Well,
opinion?
Well, that's such a great question, Olympia, where yes, in terms of, everything, what borderless access, how we are doing, we are community building, we are building panels. And so interaction with those healthcare professionals is so important in terms of understanding what motivates them, what incentivizes them, what thought leadership topics are of interest to them, what they are looking for in terms of even a sort of on a peer-led community aspect as well. So yes, absolutely. As in terms of our approach and what we're doing, we are absolutely looking to at key checkpoints collect feedback from our healthcare professionals, from those respondents in terms of the survey participation that they have. Plus, they also give us feedback as well in terms of inherently by how engaged they are, how many surveys they take part in, and how long they stay in our panel. That in itself is a level of feedback as well. And that's something that we really work hard as well to maintain and continue.
That's very good.
And Olympia, could you share? I'm curious to know, could you share any real world example of where AI has helped you to uncover a key insight about a healthcare professional behavior that would have been missed through traditional analytics?
Yeah, that's a very common thing that we uncovered through different machine learning models that we run. Sometimes it's very easy to fall into the trap with traditional analytics and misevaluate some of the assets. Let's say, for example, that an HCP is engaging with an educational content, a specific asset, but only after a rep visitation. Traditional analytics and data mining wouldn't be able to pick that up. It would be able to misassess the educational content and show low engagement. But with machine learning and some sort of sequence modeling, we would be able to follow the journey and understand the pattern and see that the asset is very successful conditionally, only when the rep visits the doctor. So that was one of the most powerful learnings that I had through machine learning and AI.
Wow. And um, it sounds really interesting. And Olympia, are there misconceptions that you feel around? And we have touched on this a tiny bit earlier, but misconceptions about AI's role in healthcare professional data analysis that maybe you'd like to clarify further, because I know you
Yeah,
started to talk about.
yeah, I touched on it a little bit before because that's one of the things that I really want to send the message out there because people think that AI replaces human judgment. This is I don't think this is ever going to happen, and at least in this lifetime that we're all going to live, because it really enhances the human judgment by uncovering certain patterns that we miss. I gave a specific example before. So AI doesn't really, in the example that I gave before, AI doesn't really replace the human judgment. It just makes it smarter. We have also seen from different analysis that we've done that it takes a whole team of people to understand the results of a machine learning model. So if we leave the decision-making process up to just the math, then we would definitely not be successful because there are things that the model can never measure. There are decisions that are made that you cannot control for because they're not quantified, and there's no way to quantify some of the data that you have that are really behavioral and fall into a different group of decision-making process. So I think that's the most common misconception.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
But Camila, I have a couple of questions. What challenges do you face in ensuring data quality and compliance? particularly with HCP gathering data in the panels, etc.
Well, I think part of those challenges are around, obviously, in terms of we talked about this earlier in the presentation in terms of integrity. So we will, maintain quality through verification of HCP specialist certificates and professional certificates. So part of the quality challenges will be taken care of at the start of the registration and respondent recruitment. However, over time, of course, we also need to maintain that quality and compliance. We are a member of the BHBIA in the UK in terms of compliance, as well as FRMR and the PMRC, of course. And so by being compliant in terms of some of those key healthcare associations, that is also important. But we continually face challenges in terms of respondent behavior, and we continue to look at better ways to mitigate that across. We talked about applying AI to mitigate some of that behavior in terms of the software that we use as well, and in terms of some of the platforms that we leverage as well to verify respondent location and other measures as well. So yes, the answer is those challenges do continue, and that with the start of AI and the boom, some of those challenges exacerbated for a while as well. So that's a really great question. So thank you, Olympia. And I think we have maybe time for, I've seen that we've got quite a number of questions in the chat. So I'm really excited for us to get to our audience live questions as well today. So perhaps what we'll do next is we'll go to some of our live questions, and then we might come back and touch on a couple of other questions at the end. What we will do is just stop the screen share there. And then, right, amazing. So I'm excited to hear from everyone. So question, okay, so here's a question. So this is from an audience member who's based in Africa, and they've asked, how can your panel support in deep rural regions across the 120 markets, including different HCP, pharma, etc.? Okay, so that is one question. So again, in terms of rural regions, and for they're asking there specifically for the healthcare professional respondent base. So we would, again, in terms of the location of respondents, we would capture that location. We do aim for diversity within our panel, but of course that will be based on those markets and the location of respondents as they register. So I would say in terms of if you're looking for specific profiling around rural or other locations, that is something that we can apply profiling for, but we would look at that on a specific basis based on the healthcare professionals that you might be looking to target. Where you've spoken about 120 different markets, so we have proprietary coverage in 40 markets and then partner coverage for an additional 50. So we would absolutely, in terms of many of the markets that you have asked about, be able to support. So yeah, great question in terms of how we maintain that in Africa, and we can certainly follow up after this with some more detail on that. So the next question that we have is, can AI boost sample panel size to represent greater footprint? Right. Well, I think so on this question in particular, can AI boost a sample panel size? Well, so we're not using any in terms of the panelists. We still have authentic digital respondents, and we leverage AI to boost panelist engagement. But in terms of initiatives around recruitment, we wouldn't rule out applying that in future. In terms of boosting our panel size today, we recruit across a number of platforms such as affiliate networks, community pages. We use emails and SMS invites. Again, in terms of AI-specific recruitment, That is an interesting question, but we are currently not leveraging AI based recruitment as such. So the next question, Olympia, I think this is a comment to one of you. So AI will not replace humans. Humans with AI will replace humans without AI. Olympia, what do you? I think that's to your earlier point
Yes, I
about.
agree. I agree. Actually, it's well said. It kind of summarizes exactly what I said. Humans with AI will replace humans without AI. That was the comment, right? Yes,
Yes.
it resonates and it speaks to exactly what I said. I love this quote. I'm gonna use it, steal it.
And I think this is, and I think you touched on this earlier as well, Olympia, but in terms of, there is definitely, in terms of mindset and in terms of research teams right now, there are some who are very pro in terms of AI and AI initiatives in research. And then, of course, we do still see some apprehension around, the human AI interaction. So yeah, it's a great quote. Was there anything, Olympia?
Or
Yes, that you wanted to add?
more education, the whole market is going to shift towards that way. Like everything that has happened in this technological landscape that is advancing very fast, the first years are always scary because people don't know what to do with it and how to use it. And there are not many examples of some things going wrong. So people are naturally scared. But what I want to say here, and I think I've said that in the past, is that machine learning and AI has been used in analytics for at least 20 years. It's not a new thing. It's just that the AI is advancing and it's evolving, and we are now having better algorithms that take into consideration more data, and we're able to build better data lakes and connect more data points. So I think this can only be good if used ethically, as I said before.
Absolutely. And yes, and I can, really, Olympia, in terms of how Borderless Access has applied AI, again, it's not new. The company has been applying it for some years to initiatives around, engagement, panel activity, and in the quality aspect as well. So yes, I think absolutely there is a bit of a tendency to think of it as well, as new, but in fact, as you say, it's been around. But what's changed is, I think, the accessibility and the ability for organizations to now affordably leverage it as well. I do think, whereas in the past you had to have a data scientist potentially, or now we have these amazing algorithms and models doing a lot of that for us. So I'm sure that's a trend which will continue. But yes, I think it might be the understanding on the benefits of it and the accessibility, which has also really, really changed. So yes, it's a super exciting time for healthcare research, and excited for the future. And I think with that, unless Olympia, did you have any final remarks to conclude? I'd like to thank you so much for
Thank you for
being
inviting
here
me.
today and joining us for this second session. And would love to hear your any final kind of thoughts or comments that you have on what we've shared.
Thank you for inviting me. I think it's very important that we show also the strength, the power of the collaborating and collaboration of teams across globally. So I think this is very important also as we start understanding also in the US, but ex-US, the power of AI and the power of our partners. So I think another important thing is to point out the collaboration and how much more powerful we are working together.
Thank you for mentioning that, Olympia. Absolutely, yes. It is about collaboration, and even as we collaborate with AI, and you touched on the human element, and absolutely between organizations as well, and really complementing and enhancing our strengths through that collaboration. So yeah, thank you so much for mentioning that. And for you all watching and being part of this session today, I'd like to thank you all again so much for being here live with us. We really appreciate you joining our session and being here today. And would love to, in terms of the recording, would love to just respond to the question in the chat on if the recording will be available. There will be a recording available that will be sent out to everyone that has joined and registered for the session. Also to add that Borderless Access will have a white paper based on this presentation, which will be available in the coming days as well. That'll be a special report as well as an extra bonus for everyone who's attended today's session. So with that, we very much hope today's session has been valuable for you. We would love to hear from you via email as well following this session. So thank you so much to everyone. Thanks to everyone who made today happen. All of those in our marketing team who supported this. And we look forward to another session where we'll be able to share more powerful insights and findings around healthcare and also potentially AI. So thanks, everyone. Thanks again, and bye-bye.
Bye.